everybody, and welcome to another brand new episode of the Top 10. I'm John Roca.
And I am Matt Nost. We're here to bring you another week of movie discussion action here on the Top 10. How are you?
I'm good. Just busy doing a number of things, enjoying the NBA Finals, preparing for some stuff that's coming up here. Just a lot of things that are going on, but also trying to kind of relax a little bit too, man. I've been kind of overwhelmed by a lot of stuff that's happening and feeling like I'm falling behind. It's kind of frustrating. So anyway, but overall, doing okay. How are you?
Good. Tired.
Yeah.
Just been busy and whatnot. We had a little discussion before we started. It just whatever. Nothing that's germane to the show itself.
Okay.
Just outside stuff. Got to deal with this, that, and the other. And
right.
So, whatever. Spread a little thin, and I think it's showing at the start of today's show.
Fair enough. I understand that. Did you ever pull some tree stumps, anything like that, or was it?
Oh, no, I mean, no, nothing.
Okay.
That I do have some projects like that going currently, but nothing in regards to any home improvement or whatnot kind of stuff.
Okay. Oh my God, Kristen Smith is joining us again, Matt Nost. I'm looking at Kristen Smith joining us live with Dale Varley Jr. I'm shocked that Kristen Smith is taken. I like that she just said hello there with a period. Not no excited exclamation point. Just a period. Hello there.
Maybe it's an Obi-Wan reference.
Oh, good call. Good call. Are you watching it, by the way? Are you watching?
Yeah, caught up. I haven't started The Boys yet, but
yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it's good. It's rounding. I mean, there's what, 2 more episodes?
Yeah.
So
kind of crazy to think there's already just 2 more episodes.
Yeah. So I mean, it's going well.
Okay.
I'm enjoying it better than Book of Boba Fett.
That's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I like this last episode. There's a nice bit of action. Some got a little more in depth with some of the characters.
Yeah.
The suspicions we all had about the woman that's vying for Grand Inquisitor were basically confirmed.
Yes, true. Very good point.
Which I thought that was pretty obvious from the pilot.
Yeah.
But some people were speculating online as to whether or not that was the case, and I just assumed. I was like, why else would you start there?
Yeah, I think because they made such a big deal of Rupert Friend coming on to the show and doing all these interviews, so people were kind of surprised about what happened in that first episode. Like, yo, really? He does all this press for it, and he's out right off the bat? That seems a little weird. So a lot of people speculating he might not fully be dead, or he might not be dead, but he might be coming back in some shape or form. Or if she is going to turn into the Grand Inquisitor, that's who we see down the road in Rebels. I don't know. So there's a lot of speculation. Well, not Rebels. Sorry, it's what we see down the road. So it's a lot of speculation that's happening right now. So we shall see for sure. Kristen's saying definitely Obi-Wan reference. That's the only new thing I've been watching lately. Too busy, aren't we all? James Petty's in here as well, and Dale Varley, as I mentioned, and Charles Clark. Nice, good to see Charles hanging out with us. So go Mountaineers, Charles. And Kristen Smith wanted to know if Lightyear, I went and saw it last night, if it's okay for kids. I think it is. I mean, there's a couple of sad moments that you'll have to navigate, I guess. And there are him like killing some things, but it's so quick and so fast. I don't think it's going to affect your kid, depending on the age of your top 10 baby. Yeah, I just don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. So just letting you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's ultimately a Pixar film, so
yeah,
it'd be shocking if they made it that it wasn't geared towards children. So, but I mean, her kid's pretty young, so
yeah,
if memory serves, he'd probably be in the 3-4 age range,
right?
So,
although we're doing the show so long, could be in Texas. I mean, could be in college. Could be in college.
Could be. But I would guess 4. 4 would be my guess. She can confirm that since she's watching live.
Yes, confirm. Confirm. Yeah. So, what else is going on? You watching anything else?
Let's see. Finished We Own the City.
Ooh, did you like that? Is it good?
Yeah, it's good.
As good as The Wire,
No.
or okay.
But it's also only 6 or 7 episodes.
Yeah, 6. Yeah.
So you get in and you get out pretty quickly, and it's a true
Yeah.
story.
Yeah.
And I question why a couple people signed on unless they cut the roles down.
Ooh, interesting. Oh, that's
Yeah,
good.
there's one in particular that they don't use all that much.
Okay.
And perhaps he just was like, I'd love to work with, Chase and or pardon me, Simon.
Yeah.
And so any part, there are no small parts type of situation.
Yeah.
But that was good. Caught up on Gaslit, waiting for the next of that.
Okay.
Tried watching Candy, watched 3 episodes of that. I can't do it.
Got to 3. God love you, man.
It's too fucking slow.
Yeah. I halfway through the first episode, I looked over at Lindley. I was like, I'm done. Are you done? She's like, yeah, I've been hanging on with you. She was playing, but I know when she's done with this show, she starts to play her fucking New York Times games on her phone. That's when I know she's done with the show. And so when I looked over during the second episode, halfway through the second episode, I was like, yeah, it's no use in watching this. Let's move on. It's like that thing about Pam, the same thing. I tried that Renee Zellweger show. Man, that fucking irritated the piss out of me. I was like, this is dumb.
Yeah.
I don't understand why people are loving this show. It was stupid. So I just turned it off after 2 episodes myself. Yeah, it kind of drags,
I don't know. Those first 3 episodes, they easily could have condensed it down to 1.5, and we sped this along.
Yeah.
Maybe it ends really well. You still have to get to the cataclysmic event.
Yeah.
They keep kind of hinting. Oh, you see like a little flash of something or other.
Right.
But it's like, yeah, I don't. So I told Catherine if she wants to continue watching without me, by all means. I have no idea if she's done that. Finished Under the Banner of Heaven. That's good.
Dude, that was great. Holy shit, man. That finale was an hour and a half. I couldn't believe it. And I'm like, that's how you do it. Yeah, you do the hour episodes, then you lead to an hour and a half finale. That's how it should be. That was a great performance from him and the Gil Birmingham, the Native American guy who was his second in command there. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah, that was a good one. Trying to think what else is currently on the slate.
Have you watched Hustle yet? The Sandler one that just dropped today? Did you get a chance to
No, I am. Basketball movies are usually pretty rough.
Yeah.
And I haven't heard an honest opinion of it so far.
Interesting. What does that mean? Because the reviews have been good.
Okay.
Yeah, the reviews have been out there. Snyder's refusing to watch it till he watches it with his brother because he would be the other person I turn to tell me if this was a good movie or not. But yeah. So you're not hearing anything good from anybody that you trust?
I've heard from a couple people that tangentially like worked.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
With it, and they're like, it's really good. And be like, I don't know if I can trust you, considering you had a hand in, even a small hand in the process of.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Basketball movies are always tough.
Yeah.
There's very few that are actually genuinely good, and there's a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah.
So but I mean, they got real players involved, and it could very well be an interesting story. I have not watched it yet, though.
Okay. Yeah. I've got it on my list. I think if nothing else is going on tonight, I'm going to watch it tonight. Because my girlfriend she's dog sitting her sister's dogs over here in the living room. So I might just be okay to kind of chill out in my room and watch, because I'm hearing good things. And I would love a nice, good Adam Sandler film, which we don't often get. So I hope it's as good as some of my friends have been saying it is, so plus it's basketball, like you said, but yeah, could be rough.
Well, I mean, hopefully Uncut Gems is a sign of when he decides to make something for adults as opposed to kids, he picks a really good project and puts, pulls it off nicely. Just the vast majority of what he's made over the past 20 years has not been for us. It's been for, preteens and kids.
It's kind of fascinating. Like if he had a different compass, I mean, he could be looking at an Oscar at some point, right? And may still. A lot of people thought he should have won for Uncut Gems, And I know I thought he should have been nominated for Punch Drunk Love. So it's fascinating. Like when he turns drama, he actually delivers a really good performance. But then he always defaults to these weird ass fucking Halloweeny movies or whatever. And it's like, can you get those out of your system once and for all? Let's move on.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I would doubt there ever is a once and for all for those, just because he's been making for so long. Apparently, he does enjoy those types of productions and those
Yeah.
film projects. But I would assume he'll get offered other things that it would elevate him to Oscar contention because he's so beloved
He
in
really is,
Hollywood,
right?
Yeah. So, I don't. It's rare. I don't know that I ever heard a person say a cross word about him.
Yeah.
So, and he still gets eyeballs.
Totally.
So there's a very good chance that somebody else is going to offer him an Uncut Gems type of role.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would not put it past.
Yeah.
Mr. Sandler.
Kristen Smith saying her daughter's almost 4, so basically almost in college. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. At this age, yeah. I mean, nowadays, 4-year-olds are like coding it nowadays. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, for God's sakes. What else is going on, man? What else? Have you watched anything else? Have you seen anything else? Jurassic World? Did you get anything?
Yeah. Shocking that it's not getting good reviews. I think the most disparaging thing is that people say it's dull.
It really is. It is. That's the problem. I said it's not good. It's not bad. It's just okay. And it is kind of dull. There's a lot of stretches, and I'm not gonna spoil anything, but there are just long stretches where you're like, okay, I guess we're just going along with this. It's an incredible lapse in logic, man.
I mean, you have a premise. Dinosaurs exist in the world, and the movie is dull. That kind of tells me everything I need to know about the movie. It sucks.
Fair.
But the last one was abysmal.
Oh yeah.
The one before that was fine.
Yeah, it was okay.
So it's not like, there's been one excellent Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
And then after that, it is kind of a dealer's choice as to what you prefer. I know some people that love the second one.
Right.
If I had to choose, I guess I'd take the third.
Oh yeah, Jurassic Park 3, with Bill Macy and Tia Leone.
Yeah, although Tia Leone kind of drives me up a wall at certain times in that movie. But I've also never been the biggest fan of hers.
Oh yeah.
So I'm not against her, but it's just like Deep Impact.
Yeah.
Like her on film.
Bad Boys.
Whereas Madam Secretary, Catherine used to watch that. I'd catch one with her every once again. It's not bad.
Yeah, it's a good show. Okay.
It's fine. It is what it is. It's a CBS procedural set in the government. That there are storylines that continue through the course of the season, but mostly its problem in Act 1 is resolved by Act 3.
Yeah. It's fascinating, man, because I mean, she's an unusual actress. Because I'm looking at her resume, and I can do it on one page of the computer from 1998 to 2019. In one page. That's how little she has worked. Jurassic Park 3, The Family Man, Hollywood Ending, People I Know, House of D, Spanglish, speaking of Adam Sandler, Fun with Dick and Jane, You Kill Me, Ghost Town, which I like, the Ricky Gervais one, Smell of Success, Tower House Heist, which is the Ben Stiller one. Then she does Madam Secretary starting in 2014 all the way to 2019, and she hasn't done anything since. And she has some voiceover work coming out, which isn't. I have no idea what this is. So curious. I think she's a good actress. I like her. Is it more a matter of like wanting to be with her kids, so she only takes certain jobs sporadically to keep the insurance cool and make a little bit of money? Like, what's the situation here? I wonder. Or maybe nobody wants to cast her. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I would assume it's the former as opposed to the latter.
Yeah.
And she wasn't getting offers that she liked, so she just decided not to take, offers that she didn't want to do, so therefore she didn't work as much.
Right.
Not sure, but I mean, she's had a steady career.
Yeah, she has. Absolutely.
2 decades plus. So
yeah,
nothing to sneeze at.
Look, a 5-year run on a CBS procedural, that's a lot of money. If you're the lead, that's a lot of money. So
yeah,
I'm sure she's fine in that.
Yeah, for some reason, I can't remember why, but I was on CSI's IMDb page,
Mm-hmm.
and some of the principals in that had 335
Oh my
episodes.
god! Oh my god!
Yeah, because there's a main cast of 4 or 5 people, just a few of them.
I just wouldn't work,
335 fucking episodes, man.
dude. I just wouldn't work again. I would just invest, just sit around, enjoy my money, travel, learn things, write. I mean, I just would do so much besides getting on a set. But then again, some people just love it. And maybe that's why they did 335 episodes, because it's like, for them, it's like air to breathe, man. I guess. I don't know. It's not for me.
Yeah. But maybe they got on and they really liked the people they worked with, and it was a fun set and
Yeah.
a nice paycheck week to week. But 335, I mean, that is a lot of fucking television.
That is a lot of fucking television. Should we get into the finals real quick before we get into the thing? We're almost halfway through. It's
Close.
2-1. Matt, I think we both called the Celtics, didn't we? So
No, you chose Celtics. I like the Warriors. I still like the Warriors.
Yeah. How do you feel right now, 3 games in, about the series? Not about your prediction.
Oh, I still think there's a lot of validity to it. I mean, Robert Williams doesn't look. He was hobbling all night and then took a fall. Although Steph rolled up, Horford rolled up on his ankle. We'll see if that has any long-term effects. Because actually, the last time they played the Celtics, Marcus Smart took Steph out for quite a while by rolling up on his ankle.
That's right.
So we'll see. But I still like. I mean, it seems like we know what we're going to get. Jaylen Brown is going to come out and be white hot for the first quarter. And then after that, who knows? Maybe he'll have a couple more buckets, but he's going to be white hot in the first quarter. The Warriors are going to be lights out in the third quarter.
Mm-hmm.
And then whether or not the Celtics can answer the call in the fourth, apparently is going to dictate how these games go.
Yeah.
At least through 3 games right now. But outside in the Warriors, it was nice to see Klay step up, but once again, the rest of the team kind of faltered.
Yeah.
And then for the Celtics, Tatum started slow, ended up, pretty well.
Yeah.
But they got nice production overall. But we'll see. I mean, game 4. So if the Warriors take that, I mean, their job at this point is just to win one of these 2.
Yeah.
So they tie it up and it goes back to the Chase Center. And then whoever wins game 5 wins 82% of all 7-game series in the NBA.
Wow.
So game 5 will be, if it's tied 2-2, if it's 3-1, then, nails practically in the coffin at that point.
Yeah.
But Charles. I mean, it was a good game until it was a blowout, but it was entertaining.
Yeah. Charles saying the Warriors are plus 43 in third quarters in this series. Jesus Christ. The Celtics are plus 52 in the other quarters. Wow. Interesting balance. Fascinating. All right, we'll see. I guess we'll see for sure. I think the Celtics will win again, and then it'll be 3-1 going back to, and I think they'll close it out there in game 6. I just have a feeling, but you might be right. If the Warriors come back and win that game 5, maybe
you could be as well. Although Boston doesn't seem to like to win at home all that much in these playoffs. So
you're right.
To watch them lose again at home would not be anomalous.
Yeah, and Klay Thompson complaining about the Boston fans telling them to F off. I mean, have you never been to Boston? What are you fucking talking about? It just seemed weird to me, the complaints. But maybe.
Coupled with a loss, and then Draymond's wife came out and said, I had my kids there, and you're saying fuck Draymond and saying a bunch of other stuff. And my kids are there, and be like, but it's kind of Boston.
Yeah, your husband is a bit of a dick. I hate to
he brings it on himself.
So you can't act like a dick and expect people to be a better person in a sports situation all the time.
And I would assume Draymond loved every second of it.
Yeah, probably.
So
he feeds off that shit.
Yeah, I don't know.
I respect it.
I know what you mean because the kids are there, but at the same time, you brought the kids into a hostile environment and the NBA finals in a city that doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
So
all they care about is winning.
Yeah, it's to be expected.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, let's move on to our list here, Matt. Our topic. What are we counting down today?
We are doing so for Lightyear got us thinking, what other origin stories would we like to see from Pixar?
Yeah.
And so trying to choose things that we haven't seen
Okay.
from Pixar.
Right.
Some certain stories are that's an origin story, so I'm not sure where we go from there. And other ones, like I don't know that I want to spend any more time in that world personally. It's fine.
Right.
I'm in and out. I'm good to go. Uh, but with the light year of like, oh, that's interesting. The possibilities now open up, and what else? What else could we get from these different worlds?
Yeah.
So we're counting down our basically what other possible Pixar origin stories we can come up with from the movies that we've already seen.
Yeah. This is fun to come up with. I mean, I've tried to stick to not having more than one person from the same movie. But I'm not going to begrudge you if you do. That was just the approach I had, because I mean, you could have done so many from some of these films.
Yeah. Easily.
Yeah.
There was one where I wrote down 3 on my side list and stopped there because I was like, I could keep going.
Right.
Because there's a bunch of different interesting characters that I would like to see how they got into the situation they're currently in.
Yeah.
I doubled up on one movie.
Okay.
But beyond that, I did the same thing. I was like, I could do this for 2 movies specifically, but I just did it for one because I think there's more possibilities with it.
Right on.
But anyway, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, the way the show works is Matt and I go off on our own after we come up with a topic, or one of you boss hog people suggests a topic there from our patrons. We come up with our own lists. We show up here. We don't tell each other our lists. We count them down 10 through 8. Matt goes first, then I go 10 through 8, then 7 through 6, then my 7 and 6. Then we take a break, and then we start with our 5s, and we go one apiece all the way to the end, and then we put it all together at the end. So, Matt, what do you got at number 10?
At 10, I've got from Onward.
Ooh, good choice.
The Manticore, the griffin-like.
Oh, good choice, dude. Yeah.
Character, just fun. They speak of her and like her people in lore, these great warrior type things.
Right.
She runs that themed restaurant, kind of playing upon the stereotypes of what it was like, a millennia ago.
Right.
And I would love to see that, just these warrior class of individuals, because now they live in, a suburban type of lifestyle.
Right. Yeah.
That's populated by areas called like the Path of Peril and Raven's Point and all these, mystical type names.
Yeah.
Well, to find out where those names come from, well, let's venture back with the Manticore and see where that legend grew from. And it's like Arthurian.
Yeah.
It's persisted through time now, and it's built up to the degree that everybody champions it as a symbol. And it's also, it gives them peace and happiness, and something that she is trading upon to this day. So why not? You could have like a little knights in armor type of tale in a Pixar world. And instead of setting it in a modern day, let's just take it back, Yeah.
That's a great choice. I like that character. And oh God, I forget who voiced it, but she was great as the voice of the character. And I was like, well, this remember, but I'll look it up too. Yeah, this could be fun to see what how she got domesticated, what she went through, what her running wild with her people, like what it was like in their kind of area. And so it would be fun to explore something there about how they came together in their unusual culture as well. It could be a lot of fun for sure. And I like that movie too. I almost chose the other brother.
Go back in time. Character.
Yeah, the Chris Pratt character. Yeah, go back in time and have like some adventure with his dad. So we kind of get why he doesn't need to have that moment with his father by the end of the movie, but his other brother does. And so we get like this separate adventure, and we get to know the dad a bit more. I thought about that too, but the Manticore is a great choice, man. I like that.
It was voiced by Octavia Spencer.
Octavia Spencer, right? Cool. Yeah, she's so good. All right, what's your 9, man?
My number 9 is on 2 of these, it's kind of a nebulous idea.
Okay.
So I chose Soul.
Oh,
And the fact of the matter is, so if you started at the great before, where all the little baby souls are,
Yes.
and we go from there and go into a body and watch it grow up, and
Mm,
maybe there's like some sort of pull back, like a memory of what was before, or when you're a child, you still have memories of what was before, and as they slowly begin to fade,
yeah.
my initial thought was send back the soul that inspires Joe to get into music and like maybe his
Mm,
early piano teacher or something like that. But the
right.
possibilities are endless.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, you could do any soul that you wanted to, and then we just jump into a story there.
Yeah.
It was it's kind of one of those of the two nebulous ideas of like I just kind of want to spend more time
Yeah.
in certain aspects of their worlds. And I think there's a lot that could be developed and harvested from that. I wish I had more of a specific character
Right.
for those. It just, I don't know. I started running through all kinds of different ideas and it's like, well, it's kind of limitless on some level. You do
Good
the
point.
inverse instead of going to, now you're leaving from there and
Right.
then, but I don't know if then it's the same if you still have that, with a back and forth, the soul still knows that it's trapped on the terrestrial plane.
Oh yeah. Good point. Right.
Um,
Hmm.
but I don't know. I loved all that the great before and the great beyond,
Right.
and the art direction of it, the choices that they made, the Picasso like renderings of what the souls that run or whatever those beings of energy are that run the great before
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that are corralling all the different little baby souls and stuff.
Right.
Maybe we focus on them. How did they get to that area
Right.
or become the thing they are? I don't know. I just want to spend more time in that world, and I couldn't come up with one idea that I liked better than the you know uh, birdshot approach of firing wildly, and there's a whole bunch of scatter shot that hits. Uh,
Yeah.
so sad as that is to say, I was lazy on in two of these in my choices, and this was
No,
one of my two.
it's an interesting choice. Because it could open a door into so many approaches to that storyline. Like, well, how would you go about making that work? And because you've already laid down the mythology of Soul, how would it work within the mythology of Soul and still kind of stick to the tenets, but expand it out a little bit more as well? Could be really interesting for sure. I like that idea actually. I thought about what's her face, Rachel House, the one that has do all the counting, like
Oh, okay.
an origin story for that character, and I was like, but how much could there really be? I don't know. But I liked that character, so every character I liked was in consideration, and so, but in the end, I didn't put it on there. But yeah, I like the choice. All right, so what's your 8?
My 8 is Crush the Turtle from Finding Nemo.
Great choice, man.
I think it's like boom, it's already written, it's done. He's just
Yeah,
floating around on the jet stream with his family,
right.
and they get to travel around the world. And because they're all so likable,
Yeah,
they
yeah,
get
yeah.
along with whatever the story is. But I can't believe they haven't done this already. I realized Finding Dory was the logical successor, but like a straight to streaming DVD
Right.
type option. I know they turned Crush into, or they use him as the focal point of a kids ride. I think it's at Disney World,
Yeah.
which makes sense. Such a likable character, but
Totally.
given that his mode of transportation already jettisons him around the ocean current around the world, it's like, well, the possibilities. He ends up in Southeast Asia and then
Yeah.
back over here onto the West Coast, and from the West Coast, like just keeps floating around. He goes down South America,
Mhm.
comes back around, goes over to Africa, around the tip of Africa. It doesn't matter. We can just do this all day,
Right.
and it's the most all-inclusive of Pixar movies, just because you can incorporate so many different cultures
Right.
into this. And plus, it was such a fun character. All of them were, him and the kids,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and through his dude-like wisdom, imparted a nice little life lesson that Marlon took with him.
Yeah.
But it could be that maybe he's just going through and helping these small little. It almost sounds like Scooby-Doo. Instead of mysteries, he's just helping from going from city to city type of thing. He's Banner, and he just moves
Yeah,
on
like
at the
the
end of
whole
every episode. Yeah,
da, 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 da.
except it won't be that sad.
Yeah, right. Maybe somewhere in the middle it'd be sad, but then of course they always make you smile by the end when it comes to a Pixar film, for sure. That's a nice choice. I like that choice. Yeah, there's a lot to explore there for sure. What would you want to bring any characters from the film, from the source material into this origin story at all, or would it just be completely on its own with new characters and stuff?
Well, Finding Dory was almost entirely new characters.
Yeah, yeah, you're
And it
right.
was really successful. Like, I thought about the octopus from Finding Dory, the Ed O'Neill character.
Yeah, because he's afraid of the sea.
Um,
Yeah.
but because they just populated with all brand new characters anyway, you could do, some individual we've already seen, or you could just have all brand new characters, so long as you've got Crush and his son, the two that the audience already knows.
Yeah.
Then it's like a Finding Dory situation. We have a couple characters that we know.
Yeah.
And now we go off on another journey. So yeah, maybe they're much like Marlin and Dory. They lost somebody else one day that flew out of the underwater current, and now they're in search of that individual. Although it kind of just turns it into the same movie all over again.
Right.
So I don't know. But I think just given the possibilities with the character, he's already moving so much.
Yeah.
That you can plop him anywhere and we buy it.
Yeah. Good point. Okay, so that was your number 8?
Correct.
All right, so then my number 10 is Colette from Ratatouille.
Okay.
Oh God, I'm getting old, man. I'm forgetting names. What was her name? The actress who voiced her over? Oh my God, this is why I'm not playing anymore. I forget. Janine Garofalo. The Garofalo. I really loved her French accent in doing this role, and I was really impressed with her as an actress. Because most of the times I see her and she does good comedy stuff, and she hit the beats like in that Truth About Cats and Dogs she's fine. But like this was something that I think is one of the best performances she's ever done. Kind of like Mandy Moore in Tangled. I'm not always the biggest fan of Mandy Moore as an actress, but her work in Tangled was great. And I thought what Garofalo did here with Colette was fantastic. And so it would be fascinating to see, like, from her point of view, like navigating the kitchens of France or Paris specifically, and how she got to where she got to be in this position. So what was her, and it could, as you said, it could have a little bit of shades of the original story here with Ratatouille and the desire to cook and all of that. What was her process? What was her journey as a woman through all of this? It could be really fascinating to explore that, and you'd have new characters as well. Maybe Gusteau is alive when she's like, starting out, and so what were her interactions? You could bring back Brad Garrett, have him do the voice again. It could be interesting. So for me, that's I like that character so much. I wanted to see more from her, because she does start out as against him and then eventually is turned towards Linguini. And so it could be fun to see what her basis in the beginning, what her foundational basis is as she navigated everything. And that's what gave her the idea to make the turn and believe in Linguini, so to speak. So just throwing it out. Yeah. I like that.
For Ratatouille, I was just trying to find an animal character because I figured that's who Pixar would fixate upon.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Probably.
So it's like all the other rats, to me, I don't know why they would do it, because the story wouldn't be interesting because they're just rats.
Right.
So I immediately moved on, but that's a great choice. I didn't even think about the humans in the movie. I was just like, they won't do another rat story. So Ratatouille's kind of done.
That's enough rat stories.
Well, just the other ones are like they're rats.
Yeah.
They're hunting through trash. They're eating rotten food. They're rats.
What do you want?
Ratatouille was the difference.
They're fucking rats. What do you want from me? All right. So then my number 9 is Lotso.
Okay.
Yeah, because he's such an evil character in, was it 3 that it's in Toy Story 3? And he clearly is a damaged guy from the experiences in the past. And I think it's so important to kind of explore. It would be fun to explore that and get us to understand a little bit about why Lotso makes the turn that he does in Toy Story 3. You know, obviously we know he was thrown out, but there clearly must have been other things that went on. So it could be, you know, interesting to see that and see like this is what happens sometimes when certain situations. So you get to see Lotso in a different light and then maybe have a different point of view or perspective on why he does the things that he does. You know what I'm saying? So it could be fascinating. Or you could use him to launch, you can make him like Black Adam, right? A bit of an anti-hero. You know, you don't 100% maybe like the guy, but you understand why he's doing the things that he's doing. So it could be fascinating for sure. And and obviously you have to find a way to make it so you kind of have a different perspective about Toy Story 3, but not so much that you cheer against Woody or Buzz. I think that would be the difficult line or tightrope you'd have to walk to try to go and back and see Lotso at the beginning, you know?
Yeah, that's I did that for quite a few and be like, God, that'd be really great for the character. And then, but they have to devolve into a villain.
Yeah.
And then we end the movie and they're a bad guy. And I'm
Well,
like,
not
well,
yet. Not yet. They'd be a bad guy.
yeah, maybe it
later
ends before they go full villain.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I did that with, I've got one character on mine that's just like, I'm going to end it before he goes full villain. But there are a number of characters be like, I'd love to see this.
Yeah.
I just don't know how Pixar makes a movie that ends the only way I really see this potentially ending.
Yeah.
But that being said, I think the backstory on Lotso, there's a lot of them within Toy Story. I just steered clear because we're already getting the Lightyear.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
I was like, okay, you know what? That one's done. I'm gonna walk away from that and challenge myself to come up with using their other properties.
I could see that.
But if it's really successful, then the first thing they're going to do is find other Toy Story characters.
Yeah, you're right
to
about
do
that.
this with. Yeah. So maybe we get a Woody backstory or something. The
Oh,
TV
yeah.
show that it was based upon. I can't imagine that's fucking the plausible idea, but who knows?
Yeah, it's it would have to work in a certain way for sure. Okay, so that was my number 9. So then my number 8 is Edna Mode.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, kind of a little bit like Colette in a different way. Like for Colette, it's more about, you know, navigating the kitchens of Paris or France, depending on where she's starting out. But with Edna Mode, I think I had this idea that she could be this person who really wasn't fashionable and didn't know a lot about fashion or whatever. It could almost be like a Devil Wears Prada situation where she's figuring out, she's like this mousy thing that gets kind of bullied a lot, and she's, you know, obviously diminutive, so it kind of adds even more power to people bullying her. So you're immediately on her side, and she's figuring out her voice, like how, you know, what to say, how to speak about it, blah, blah. It's almost like the Theranos thing where she kind of, maybe as she figures out how to be Edna Mode fully, she changes and alters her voice from the person we got to know to the person she is in this character. And that kind of leaves us with this powerful inspirational story of a woman who kind of navigated this stuff, overcame her insecurities and her fears and people's bullying, and found her voice literally and figuratively in the world of fashion, and as a character in the world of fashion with the heroes, you know, going from a nobody who's bullied to someone who is the premier person that superheroes turn to make their clothes. I think would be awesome. Just to see that whole journey with her would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, The Incredibles was one of the 2 movies where
Yeah.
I was like, you can pull numerous characters from this.
Yeah.
And it was the one that I was like, I'm only going to take one from this one. Whereas another one I took 2 from. But yeah, it's a great show. I mean, it's an easy arc too.
Yeah.
For her, because it starts off as she's just a fashion designer and whatnot, and the early forays into making superhero costumes and how she gets pulled into that world.
Yeah.
So she lives the duality of, well, on paper, I am this, but what really gets me excited is this stuff that I can't talk about.
Right.
And that's why, you know, ultimately she builds to the individual that she is.
Yeah.
But yeah, that transition, that's a great movie, because then you can populate it with a million different superheroes.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe she kind of goes with a group the first time and like designs on the fly. Oh, your costume ran into this.
Right.
I can make alterations. And then we watch the action as they go out. Maybe she
Yeah.
figures out, oh, if I change this, it'll actually accentuate and make it better for you.
Right.
And just the synergy of the teamwork.
You could even give her a tragic love story where like a supervillain or superhero, like she starts a relationship with a superhero, but he turns into supervillain because he changes. And like that kind of, you could add a little bit of tragedy to her story in that way. So because we never see Edna with anybody. And so the way she takes to Jack in the second film could speak to the fact that, like, she had always wanted to be married and have kids, but unfortunately it didn't work out for her that way because her career kind of consumed her. So her resistance to Jack is understandable because it was opening the doors to that again, that she had very cleverly and very powerfully shut off so that she could be successful. So it could be something like that, it could be a lot of interesting to explore. She's such a phenomenal character, and I think it's always a crime that we don't have more. The fucking penguins in Madagascar got a whole fucking series for years. We should have gotten some for Edna Mode through Pixar and Disney. So, anyway, all right. So that's my number 8. What's your 7?
My 7 is the other nebulous one.
Okay.
Which is basically, I just want to spend more time in the land of the dead in Coco.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So perhaps we do it when Hector kind of wakes up in the land of the dead.
Yeah.
And then it's just him exploring, figuring out his place in this world. And then ultimately, his interactions with the Elvis type character, whatnot, as they battle back and forth, knowing full well that he's the one that put him there. Or perhaps it's him there for so long and then realizes, oh shit, Elvis has finally passed.
Right.
I can't remember that character's name, but he's the equivalent to that.
Yeah. The Benjamin Bratt character.
Yeah. Of the mariachi world, I guess. Is he mariachi artist? I don't know.
Yes, I think so.
But in reality,
Ernesto de la Cruz. Yeah.
I just want to spend more time in that world. It's so beautifully rendered that I was utterly captivated, even though I think the story throughout was just okay.
Yeah.
I think the ending is dynamite.
Yes.
That song, and then the grandma sparking back to life and then singing along after music has been outlawed basically in the house type of thing. It's gorgeous. It almost makes you forget that previous 90 minutes has just been, it's all right. Visually stunning to look at.
Yeah.
But I just want to get back to that world. And I don't know, do we follow someone else? This is another, just like Soul. It's like, how do we get back there? I wish I had a better. Hector was my easiest portal in, but then ultimately it seems kind of sad for an ending unless we don't do the full, like maybe he gets there and he helps somebody else out in the land of the dead.
Yeah, or like you said, he wakes up and he doesn't want to accept it because the way he was killed was nefarious. So he wasn't ready to die. It was a surprise. So now we go along this journey with Hector as he figures out how to come to terms with the fact that he's died, how to let go of his desires for revenge in the afterworld because it'll just ruin him, and learns to accept the situation. And then boom, we get the first maybe indication that he can connect with Miguel. So that could be interesting to explore as well, seeing him and his journey and the new characters that would be in that film as he comes to terms with the fact that he is now in the land of the dead,
Yeah.
Could be fun. I didn't even think about it that way. That's actually kind of cool.
Yeah. I wish I had a better explanation of what the story would be.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it still works because Pixar is always about teaching you life lessons. So this idea of something that happens, it's a surprise. How do you come to terms with it? How do you accept it? What are the stages? So it could be a life lesson for anybody, really, depending if you can grasp the emotions of the story. It could be an interesting life lesson. And I agree with you, by the way. I know I'm Latino. I'm supposed to fall all over myself for Coco. And look, you're right. The ending is great. But the story itself, it doesn't make me come back and watch it over and over again. I know my brother Hector Navarro loves it, and I totally respect that. I think Danny loves it as well. And so I totally understand and respect that. For me, Encanto works better for me personally from beginning to end. Coco, and I'm not trying to compare the two but like they're the only two kind of Latino based animated ones we've had recently from Disney/Pixar. So for me though, I find more connection to the story in Encanto than I do with Coco. But that ending, as you said, Matt, is just great when the grandmother joins in. Oh my God, devastating.
Yeah, it's stellar. It's much like Up. I think the
Yeah,
beginning
right,
of Up is magnificent, and then after that,
right.
whatever. I know other people love it. Great.
I
I'm
do.
happy for
Yes,
you.
I
Yeah,
can't agree with you, but yeah,
the vast majority do. That's totally fine. But it still gets you. It doesn't detract from the
yeah,
emotional punch.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they're still good at that. But anyway, so that was my 7.
All right, what's your 6?
My 6 is so Wall-E
Ooh,
wasn't the only trash compacting robot.
you're right. There were a number of robots. Yes,
There had to be.
yeah,
This entire wasteland has been cubed up, and there's these massive trash cities that have just been beautifully done. There's no way Wally's done all this himself.
right.
So what about as we start where humans have just left, and now we have an entire world of Wall-E's, and just the hierarchy there, is there like a structure in place? Are they all just autonomous and they all do their own little things? And then he is the one that is different from all the others because he's still trying to find the spark of joy, like with the cockroach or finding the one plant, whatnot.
Right.
He's the only one that's enamored with those types of things, and everybody else is just there to compact and do their job.
Yeah,
And it's just him trying to, I don't know, make sense of the world when no one else sees it the way that he does. And then realizing that he needs to follow his own compass as opposed to just doing what everybody else is doing. He's still doing his work, but finding the joy in the world around him in this wasteland.
Yeah.
But I don't know, just the idea that at one point there were millions of these things and now he's the only one.
Yeah.
Well, what did the world look like when there were millions of these things?
Right. Right.
Or is he so lonesome because the time before there were a bunch of people? He had a huge like friend or family group that were very much like him, and he's lost them over time.
Yeah.
And now he's left with this solitary existence. So that's why he gravitates towards the cockroach and everything else. I don't know, but there's a heart-wrenching story in there somewhere.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I like that actually. It's kind of and you see from different cultures, different countries, what their compactors would be like. So that could be fun.
Are you changing it up by region?
Yeah, you could like have a different region because I mean it's futuristic, right? So it could be any number of reasons for having that because more people come. Maybe they're compactors. You could even have it play a little bit like an immigration story where you've got these different compactors that have come over, been brought over by the company, and have to work together with Wall-E to kind of do the things that they're doing, and then eventually, of course, as you said, it all leads to the fact that they probably all perish in some way, and he's the last one left. He's like the Forrest Gump of it all.
I hadn't thought about it like they're, because we only see it and there's that one big ship.
Yeah, right.
So I just kind of defaulted to, well, there was like one world government or something.
Yeah.
So there'd only be one type of trash compactor. But in reality, if we haven't gone to like a Star Trek mold where we have one world government, and it's numerous, and everybody had their own escape ships and all that shit. Yeah, you could have different compactors, different styles,
right?
Like the interactions. Yeah, the way they deal with the trash and whatnot is separate from one another.
Yeah, could be interesting.
Yeah,
interesting. Okay, so then my number 7 is Chick Hicks, the Michael Keaton character in the Cars.
Oh, okay.
I like that character a lot. And of course, I like Michael Keaton a lot. And it was between this character and Ken. I was kind of going back and forth between the two because Keaton does the voice of both of them. But in the end, I chose Chick Hicks because it's such an interesting character and villain who is desperate to win. So what would Chick Hicks have been like coming into the circuit? We get only a little bit of a taste of the NASCAR in these Cars films. And of course, we had that Grand Prix thing in the second one. But I think it could be very interesting to explore what Chick Hicks's journey was like to become a race car at that time. And it could be fun to kind of explore that and see his kind of journey to get here, what he had to go through and overcome. Was there someone he loved? Did he go against what his parents wanted him to do? So there's a lot you could play with here that in the end kind of is why he's such a hardened guy who has a desire to win, and I know he ends up being the villain, but you could still play it so that you understand him just a little bit more. It's still, you don't have to like his actions in the Cars movies, but you could understand why he is the way he is and what drives him. And I was watching Draymond Green last night. This is what making the connection. I posted this. I tweeted about it earlier this morning. I saw the video of him. Like, was it Robert? Was it one of the guys he was yanking? Derek, I forget which guy it was. He was yanking off the line after the foul shot because he couldn't get around him. So he literally like wrapped his arms around the dude's neck and started shoving him down. And I'm like, that's desperation, right? And you can still make it work that this Draymond is probably a pretty decent dude off the court, and people seem to speak positively about him. But when he's on that court, it's that desperation to win that overcomes him, right? And you could make that kind of thing with Chick Hicks, where it's more a matter of a little bit of a tragedy that his desire for winning eventually overcomes everything else, or takes precedence over everything else.
Sure.
So it could be interesting. Plus, it's a Southern story, so you could have fun with that as well, Or it could be an East Coast boy who comes down and like changes to be kind of a Southern driver. I don't know.
I didn't remember that he did a voice in Cars. So I saw Cars once, and I saw Cars 2 once, and I'm good.
Kristen said, "There's only so much Cars related content I can handle." I may be speaking as a parent, but I don't want any more Cars content. Fair enough.
This seems the more likely product to be next if they do an origin story like this from Lightyear is finding a Cars one, because that's been very successful for them.
It really has. Really has. Yeah. It's kind of mind blowing, to be honest with you.
That was the breakaway or the breakout. Yeah.
Okay, so then my number 6 is Charles Muntz from Up.
That is a punt.
Ooh, nice. Okay, all right. Well, I feel we've reached the break point here, Matt.
We're going to take a quick break here. This word from our sponsors, and we'll be right back in just a moment with our top 5s. All right, there we have it. There was our quick break.
Thanks to us.
So at 5,
yeah,
I have 2 possibilities, but the one, I'm just saying it's 2 from the same movie.
Okay, fair enough.
So from Monsters,
ooh,
I realize we have Monsters University.
Yes.
But what about Roz that runs the intelligence agency? I was thinking either that or is it Water Noose? What is the noose? The spider creature that runs the Scream Factory?
Oh.
Because at what point did they figure out screaming was an energy source?
Yeah. You're talking about the old dude.
Yeah. Mr. I think it was Water Noose.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Something Noose. But I was thinking Roz, like, okay, so then it's this covert government agency, and then like those yellow guys, and they just parachute into situations. She has to find corruption somewhere else within the Monsters universe.
Right.
And doesn't necessarily have to deal with the Scream side of it. Just find something else that kids could be able to identify pretty easily with.
Yeah.
And this seems like basically they could have their version of the penguins from Madagascar getting a television show and everything else. Could be like Roz. She keeps running into situation after situation, whatnot. But I was also intrigued by when did they figure out that screams were such a potent power source?
Yeah.
And did that take them from like pre-industrial revolution to they harnessed the energy of that? and
Right.
that's what spurred their civilization forward. Does it go all the way back to like caveman times?
Wow.
And they were just sneaking into caves like some hole in the side, and they just boom, they come in, and it's not quite an opening,
Discover
so a person could get through, but a monster could.
it.
I don't know. There's a lot of like, where does this civilization begin exactly?
Yeah.
So if you just want an easy answer, it's Roz. The more interesting to me is the how did this get started? Where does this come from?
Right.
What was it like before, you know, you had all the machinery to do this?
You'd have a hell of a job trying to make a CEO of a company in 2022 a protagonist. I think it could be a hell of a mountain.
I know, that's the other thing. Well, he ends up being the villain, so to go back with him, plus he's a big
Yeah.
spider-like creature.
Yeah, right. It's not easy.
Yeah, it's not that one's tough.
I like the Roz situation though. Like,
Yeah, I
there's a
think
whole,
that's
like,
the easiest character.
she's like Agent Carter in the past and some
Yep.
shit, you know.
Precisely. It's the agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but it's like the agents of Roar or
Yeah.
whatever. And they're just now out stopping crimes in the monsters universe over and over and over again.
Yeah, that could be fun.
I think it's an easy sell, something kids would watch, and they could find a million different storylines
She was
to
hot
do.
once upon a time as well. The young
Yeah.
Roz was a hottie. I could see that. Okay, so then my number 5, which seems pretty obvious to me, is Jessie from Toy Story.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah, I mean, I love Joan Allen. She's so good.
You mean
as this
Joan
character.
Cusack?
Sorry, Joan Cusack. Sorry. Yeah, like I said, dude, it's over for me, man. Yeah, Joan Cusack. She's so good in this role, voicing over this role, and the desperation and the pain and the hurt in Toy Story 2 when she's, afraid that they're about to put them back into the packaging because of Stinky Pete and his manipulation of the situation. Essentially kind of a pseudo cult leader there, Stinky Pete. But I would love to go back and see the origins of Jessie and who was the first, the girl that becomes her person. What was that story like? And I know she leaves her, blah, 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 but maybe we get a whole new perspective on what actually happened and why Jessie was left, so we don't necessarily go all the way up to the end, or maybe we do, but we go to the place where, I don't know, because Stinky Pete finding her is kind of not a good thing. So maybe you end before anything negative happens. You know what I'm saying? But you kind of have this exploration and understanding of Jessie as a toy. I think that could be a lot of fun. And and especially nowadays when they're doing more female-based, female-led content, could be fun to see Jessie's story with her connection with the Conner and the way they work together. You know what I'm saying? And you could make it a trilogy, actually, so that it ends with her kind of being put in the box for whatever reason. But it's not as nefarious as Jessie was led to believe or wanted to believe, So it could be fun. Just throwing it out there. And she's still around, Joan Cusack. So
she is?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's an idea that Pixar would probably gravitate towards.
Yeah.
Although if they're going to do that type of character, they already have Woody. So why would they do Woody like a cow boy girl type of situation?
Yeah. Well, we could go back to that, the prequel, because in Toy Story 2, they talk about how he was part of the show.
Mm-hmm.
So we could actually go about doing the prequel where they all come together to do the show. How did it all happen? How did they what were the rehearsals like? It could be a lot of fun figuring out how they came together to do that show. I think that could be cool,
Yeah, 100%.
So in a way, with Jessie, you could still make it work. Kristen Smith said there's a Toy Story short film where they show her PTSD about getting stuck in small spaces and having her overcome it. Ooh, interesting. Okay, I've never seen that.
Wow, didn't know it existed.
Yeah. Fascinating. Okay, I'll have to check that out. All right, what's your 4?
My 4 is Inside Out.
Ooh.
And then we do the parents, as they're getting together. So their internal monologues of falling in love, which is something, we haven't seen segued into them becoming parents.
Right.
So it bleeds right into the we already know the character from that.
Yeah.
But I like just the idea of all those different emotions, how they deal with falling in love
Right.
and the ups and downs of that, then to the being so petrified of childbirth. Like, I want to, first off, please be born healthy and everything like that.
Right.
But then,
Right. Right.
am I going to be a good parent? Like, what do I do? How do I do this? And just being so frightened at all times, even though oh, I can get through this because we've been doing this as a species for so long. There's no way it's not ingrained in me, but you're still terrified. Like, you want to make all the right decisions. So you could do that all as one movie, or you could just pick one or the other.
Yeah.
And I think either works. But it just, we already have the parents. I mean, you could choose any person and just get in. Now we just live with the emotions again. But if you want to tie into some that we already know that exist, well, the parents just seemed like a natural segue.
Yeah. And we've seen their people, right? Inside Out, we've seen their inside their brains people. So seeing younger versions of those people as they're kind of coming together and becoming parents and all of that, that could be really fun. And
yeah, you could even do open the movie with them as adults.
Yeah.
So you see the emotions that have mellowed, that where they're at now, and they're like, God, you remember when this? And then they just go back, and it's a portal too. And now we have the juxtaposition of where they ended up as as emotions, and where they began when they first met one another, or whatever the case is.
That's good. I like that.
Yeah, I think that's an easy one to me. Whether or not it appeals to kids, I have no idea, because the kid is not going to be a protagonist in this.
Right.
But I don't think they really gave a shit about most of them. They were along for the ride. They got identified with the girl because she was going through some turmoil.
Yeah, Riley. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think, given the fantastical nature of the world, they would still go back for that.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily have to be in a child's mind.
Yeah, agreed. All right, so my number 4 is a little bit of a cheat. I'll just say this right off the bat. It is a Monsters Incorporated one, but it's telling the origin story of Boo as now a mom. And she has a daughter. So we're telling the daughter's origin story. So Boo's daughter's origin story, and how the whole thing, like and checking in with Mike and Sully. So her finding her kind of scare person or whatever it is, and seeing what her journey was like, and then Boo like checking in with Mike and Sully, and kind of this whole adventure that they're on. Maybe she takes off the little girl, and so they're all working together to try to find her or figure out where she's at, because she gets hooked up with one of these scare persons and whatever. So it could be an interesting approach to that. And then you're having an older Boo. So what would it be like Hook, where she doesn't remember, she's kind of put it all away, and her daughter getting one of these scare, I forget what they're called, people, kind of reawakens this. Do you know what I'm saying? And maybe she's like sad about her life. And so we're seeing the origin story of the young kid kind of helping her embrace her joy again. As I said, kind of like Hook, I don't.
It's a great movie. I'm saying, like, that is a great movie, but I think the word you're looking for is sequel. That is a sequel, not an origin story.
Bit of a cheat. I know it's a bit of a cheat, but I don't know. Couldn't we have an origin story of Boo? But that continues? Is that not?
That's not an origin. An origin story of Boo would be her conception. That would be an origin story of Boo. If you want to fast forward 30 years, that's not an origin story. That is
fair enough.
Post-mortem story.
I know I was messing around a little.
Look, I think that's an awesome idea. Like her trying to reconnect to the magic of her youth, and through her child's eyes, which a lot of parents do.
Yeah.
I think that is an amazing sequel.
Oh, well. All right. Well, let me replace it. I'll replace it.
You should drive to Burbank right now and pitch that.
If only.
Go to the animation studios that are right there. Realize you guys do most of these in-house, but here's an idea for you.
All right. Well, let me throw another one out here.
That's for, dude. If you want to keep it, it's fine.
Oh, no, it's fine. It's okay. Yeah. All right. I'll switch something out, but let's keep going here. What's your three? What's your three?
My 3 is the Charles Muntz from Up.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Go ahead, man. This is higher up on your list.
Well, you see that newsreel in the beginning.
Yeah.
So basically, he's Indiana Jones.
Right.
So let's go watch Indiana Jones be Indiana Jones, because
Mhm.
he was a good guy until the world called him a fraud.
Right.
And now he was determined to go do that. But, when we meet the character, he already has that Zeppelin type aircraft and all
Mhm.
that,
Mhm.
which leads you to believe that he's been doing this for a while.
Yeah.
So, well, let's see what other adventures that we've gotten up to with Muntz.
Yeah.
And it ends with him landing on that lost world, for the first time, and he sees this craziness and he finds that skeleton and whatnot.
Yeah.
Maybe he hears the bird-like creature, sees it off in passing and whatnot, but make sure to collect the bones and
Yeah.
take that back to civilization as some sort of moment of triumph. And then we start the next movie with, and actually, no, it turns out that, he faked all of it when we know, in fact, he did
Ah,
not, but it drives him into the madness that the character has in that movie.
I like that. Yeah. Yeah, we get a little more with him. We get to understand how he works. We get to see some of the adventures he's been on and all of that. And then this challenge that he has to kind of confront now that people are accusing him. And it could also be, Matt, it could be an interesting way to kind of do a Pixar version of cancel culture. Like it could be interesting exploration if you could walk that line smartly, and of course I don't believe there's cancel culture, but the idea of consequences culture, cancel, whatever you want to call it, it could be a way to show that, like what was it like when they accused him of this and it wasn't necessarily true, and how he was able to kind of, and what it did to him, you know what I'm saying? So it could be interesting. It's a darker film for Pixar for sure, but I could see it happening for sure. So I like that character.
There's a lot to that character. He's got
Yes.
more depth than your average villain. So
Yeah.
we can explore here. We don't have to go into when he's full nefarious. We can just see like little
Right.
twinges of it, so it doesn't get too dark for kids.
Yeah. Well, most people, as they get, the ones that get evil when they get older, it's from a series of situations. They weren't always necessarily evil, so it's good to kind of explore how that can happen as a bit of a lesson, I guess, maybe. Okay. Anything more on that?
No, I think I'm good on that.
Okay. Then my number 3 is all the tank fish from Nemo, how they all came together to be in that tank, like almost like a Magnificent Seven type thing, where they're all kind of doing some kind of mission, but in the end, they do complete the mission. But in completing the mission, they get put in the tank there at the end. So we're seeing the background of all these characters and how they came together and learn their skills and whatever, and they go on this mission, which is why they're able to work so well to help Nemo when they're in the tank later on in Finding Nemo. So it could be a fun way to kind of retcon a little bit of their backstories and explain how they were able to work together so well when stuff happens for Nemo to get him out of the tank there. So I like that idea of them all coming together.
Yeah, I wrote down Gil and then stopped at the other tank mates because like, you can't focus on all of them.
Right.
But what you're talking about is that a Magnificent Seven type of the gang getting together.
Yeah.
I think that's fantastic. I think that's the perfect way to introduce an origin story of numerous characters and still keep it fun and inventive. Yeah, because you like first act is them out in the wild and they got put into this tank, and then as they're, I guess, adjusting to this world, it seems kind of limited. But at the same time, if anybody could figure that out, it's Pixar.
Yeah. And we'll
But yeah,
find out for real where the scar came from on Gil.
Yeah.
How did that happen for real? But yeah, I mean, maybe they come together in some weird way, and the mission, Gil gets them together, and they go on this mission. And although they save the person in the end, whatever it is, creature or whatever it is, they end up in a position where they get caught and put in the tank, but at least they're together. I don't know. Just throwing it out.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's a good movie.
Cool. All right. What's your number 2, man?
My 2 is another Finding Nemo.
Ooh.
The sharks. How in the world do you get to not eating fish?
Bruce.
Bruce and the other 2 sharks. So it's the movie is like what was that Will Smith shark movie?
Oh, Shark Tale. A Shark Tale.
Shark Tale, which was terrible.
Yeah, it was not good.
But he was trying to break the mold of what a shark is supposed to be. Well,
Yeah.
you do a much better version of this where you're actually breaking the mold of what a shark is supposed to be.
Right.
And you have this. So they're all from different shark cultures because there's a hammerhead. There looks like some sort of reef shark. And
Yeah.
they have the great white. So they all are independent. They exist in worlds where we are the predators and we're out to eat. And what happened to each of them that made them question that decision? And perhaps it's a moral question or just a health question. I don't know. But to see them kind of go against type and turn sharks into good guys and something that kids could kind of empathize with and grow to love. Plus, if anybody's going to, do the, hey, sharks aren't bad and we shouldn't be killing sharks because they're good for their ecosystems.
Right.
To kids, well, it seems like Pixar would be right up their alley to try and teach kids a lesson of you don't need to be fearful, just be respectful.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I thought that in the short burst that they were on camera, that they were a lot of fun. But I think your tank idea is probably a more fully formed movie.
Well, we could explore, as you said, though, with Bruce, like we could just focus on Bruce. Just even call it Bruce. And we explore what his life was like, as you said, the Shark Tale thing. And what is the instigating action or incident that leads him to swear off fish? What is it that he discovers, and then brings people to his side? I think all of that works so well, and you could totally decorate it with characters because you could have his friends who are like, what the hell is this all about? Why are you doing this? So in a way he'd be different, even though he was trying to fit in. Eventually he realized fitting in is led me to a path that I wasn't happy. And so there's a lesson there for kids to learn as well, and adults, that could work in the vein of Pixar with Bruce. So I like that idea too. Bruce.
Could work, but I do think your tank idea, now having heard it, is a more fully formed idea. I think it's got better sea legs.
Maybe Bruce will be part of that as well. What yeah, guys? Anyway, all right, so then my number 2 is Bing Bong. Now,
oh, okay.
Now, I went to my 2 friends on the Nerd Pals, the Nerd Dudes, because they buy animation, and Michael's a big Pixar fan. So I said, I pitched the idea of Bing Bong. He was like, well, that doesn't make any sense. We know the beginning of Bing Bong. It's for the thing that she's, because she needs, Riley needs a imaginary friend. And I said, but what if it's like Monsters Inc., where there's an imaginary friend society? And so what is the origin of Bing Bong becoming a part of the imaginary friend society? Maybe Bing Bong had always wanted to be part of the imaginary friend society, but couldn't get in because he's so weird, so unusual. What is it about him? What was his journey in trying to get into the imaginary friend society, so that he could be a part of it? So it's got shades of Monsters Inc. or Monsters University, really. But I think it could be fun. Because people talk about imaginary. That's a real thing that happens in people's real lives, and so you could really interview a bunch of people, probably within the Pixar campus alone, that could give you great ideas for the look of all the imaginary friends. And of course, you'd have to come up with an antagonist, and you have to come up with people who are in charge of the imaginary friend society, who probably don't want Bing Bong in there because he's so unusual. He's too unusual even for the most unusual people. So that could be a fascinating exploration, and how Bing Bong slowly kind of comes up with his look, comes up with his overall approach to things, and then why it hits Riley's buttons perfectly when she's a child to create him, and he's the one that shows up.
Yeah, I think my natural inclination would almost be to mirror Monsters University, where he needs to learn what it is to be an imaginary friend before he's
Mm.
allowed to be an imaginary friend.
Yeah.
So maybe he's like making it too much about himself when he needs to make it all about her.
Good point. Yeah.
So it's like you need to relinquish the selfishness, which we see come to fruition in Inside Out
Yeah.
when he gives the ultimate
Sacrifice. Right.
yes.
Yeah. You could
So,
be. Yeah. Right. You could be. Bing Bong could be like this arrogant guy who thought.
yeah, he's just like,
he was
I'm
a
so much
shoot-
fun. I'm the life
Yeah.
of the party at all
Yes.
times. And be like, that's insignificant because you need to be
Right.
entertaining to the child. What are you talking about? Of course I'm entertaining. So he's just like he's a jerk until he realizes it's not about me, it's about them. And the
And no
growth of
one seems.
maturation.
Yeah. Right. And none of the kids seem to want to select him as an imaginary friend. Like maybe there's a thing where a kid sees like a scroll of imaginary friend and picks one, but he keeps not getting picked. So it frustrates him even more. And that's what's going to be the thing that kind of opens the door to him learning the lesson that it's not about him. It's about them.
Yeah, you'll find your
I never
right.
thought about that. That's great, dude. I love that change.
But yeah, I mean, it's an interesting idea that imaginary friend isn't made in the imagination of the child, that it's like somehow implanted there.
Right.
But then where does that come from? That's a whole other discussion, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or maybe it's just the subconscious has that as built in as part of, they have an imaginary friend academy.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Type of thing. Yeah, I don't know.
That they can choose from. Yeah, exactly. Charles Clark says maybe there are other imaginary friends, but he sees them disappear and makes that sacrifice in Inside Out even more poignant. Oh, yeah, it could be approach as well. Yeah. Kristen says, I don't know what they would do this one because they would have to show him eating fish, and the whole humanizing fish could traumatize kids seeing them get eaten. Maybe not if the fish don't talk. I think that's fine actually. All right, what's your number one? What's that?
Bruce? I was thinking about Bing Bong.
Bing Bong eating the fish.
I was like, what fish did Bing Bong eat? Yeah, or it's just implied he doesn't have to actually eat fish.
Yeah.
This is what sharks do, type of thing, and then he's the rebellious teen that doesn't want to do it, and he's trying to buck the system, and then eventually comes to realize those are his actual convictions as opposed to just
being a rebel.
Yeah. My number one, simple, Frozone.
Frozone, yes.
Done.
Absolutely. Agreed.
Want to see it. It's awesome. He's got a wife? Okay.
Yes. How does that happen?
Yeah, exactly. Does she have superpowers? Apparently not.
Yeah.
How do they meet? Like, what's his backstory? I want to know more about Frozone. That's it.
Yeah.
I got nothing. It seems like a no-brainer, although Incredibles, it took forever to get a second one, which
it's true.
I understand why Toy Story and ultimately Cars were made, so many sequels of those. But once you saw Incredibles, be like, wow, you guys got a potential franchise here.
Yeah, agreed.
And it took so long. Maybe it just didn't grab kids the way it did adults or something. I don't know.
Maybe, but it was fantastic, man.
But yeah, Frozone, easy.
Frozen, agreed. How do they come together? If she's a superpower person, is she one that put the cape away because there was, she had to raise the kids or raise a family or whatever, or her job? She's the one that made the transition a lot easier than Frozone and Elastigirl and Mr. Incredible. So that could be a fun thing to explore too with them and their background. So yeah, I'm down. Frozone is my number one as well.
Yeah.
So,
when did the powers start?
Yeah.
Is it from birth and he's always had this ability, or is it like in his teenage years when the hormones started to kick in, he noticed that he had?
Yeah.
He was one of these superheroes, these very rarefied superheroes, and dealing with that. Like, I don't know. Is it a Peter Parker situation?
Right. And maybe she isn't, and maybe her parents don't like the hero, so he's got to like kind of win them over or whatever. So there's this awkward situation situations where we see him kind of like figuring out how to get their blessing while also staying true to who he is. That could be fun for him as well. Okay. Well, there you go. That's our a countdown of the top 10 characters we'd like to see origin stories from in Pixar. So we're going to put this list together. I'm going to grab the bongos. They're getting heavier or I'm getting weaker. Either one. Yeah, there we go. Rosining up the oh, the dog's gonna start barking now. There they go. Sorry about that, y'all. You're gonna have to hear some dogs barking.
You have a dog?
No, my girlfriend we're dog sitting her sister's dogs today in the house. So, yeah, they're chilling out with us for a few hours. She has to see them at least once a week or she goes crazy, my girlfriend. So okay, so obviously number 1, Frozone.
Yeah, Frozone number 1. I put down the tank friends from Finding Nemo 2.
Okay, all right.
And I'm just going to exclude Bruce the Shark and the
Oh,
Shark
okay.
Buddies.
All right.
I think once again the tank idea is a more complete idea.
Okay.
So Charles Muntz, I have at 3. You have that where?
6.
We'll go next.
Okay.
Then we both have Inside Out ideas in our top 4 or 5s.
Yeah, that was my 2, Bing Bong. So we could combine.
Yeah, then I have the parents' inner monologues. Do you just want to say one makes it, the other one gets excluded then?
Ooh, we're going to flip?
No, yours would be 2.
Right. Oh, I see, because it's higher. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, so I've got Roz and the government agency at 5.
I love that.
Monsters, Inc.
Yeah, put it in there, man. That's such a great one. You're under arrest.
What do you got next? What's your next highest?
See, 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, we kicked out the Monsters Inc. sequel, so Jesse is my 5.
Okay,
that's my highest so far. Because Bing Bong's already on the list, so.
Okay. I got my 6.
I have my 6. Charles Muntz. Did it already get on there?
Oh no, yeah, Muntz already got on.
Okay, so then go ahead. Your 6 goes.
Okay, so it was Wall-E. Okay, we got 3 spots left.
Okay.
What do you have?
Chick Hicks at number 7.
Okay, I've got technically Hector from Coco.
Ooh.
I'll flip quick.
All right.
I got the coin right here.
All right.
I will flip. And it was Chick Hicks.
Chick Hicks.
All right, Chick Hicks takes it.
Hey-o. Kristen Smith says, anything to make imaginary friends less creepy, I'm okay with. Whenever Kara starts talking to herself, I get a little spooked. Yeah. Don't go on TikTok. Oof, man, there are some scary-ass TikToks, man. There's some ones where you see ghosts and stuff. That's insane.
Well, that's because ghosts aren't real. That's why it's insane.
Here we go.
That's find me verifiable proof of a ghost, and then I'll fucking.
That's against the. Wait, that makes no sense. Anyway, all right. Where are we at? Number 8 was Edna Mode for me. What do you got?
I got Crushed the Turtle.
Well, since I lost the last one, I have to kind of concede, right?
I'll flip again.
Okay.
All right, Crush the Turtle makes it.
There it is. You know what? Can you take out Chick Hicks? I think Edna Mode should have been higher up. So I'm gonna put Edna Mode where Chick Hicks is.
All right.
Just to make our list a little better.
Okay.
All right, let's do it. The top 10 Pixar characters origin stories we'd like to see. Yeah. At number 10.
Crush the Turtle from Finding Nemo.
At number 9.
Hector from Coco.
At number 8.
Edna Mode from The Incredibles.
At number 7.
Wall-E from Wall-E.
At number 6.
Jessie from Toy Story 2.
At number 5.
Roz from Monsters Incorporated.
At number 4.
Bing Bong from Inside Out.
At number 3.
Charles Muntz from Up.
At number 2.
Tank Friends from Finding Nemo.
And our number 1 Pixar character origin story we'd like to see is
Frozone from The Incredibles.
Where is my super suit? Yes, sir. Good stuff. Good stuff there. All right. Yeah, I think it's a lot of fun. I'm sure there are characters that you all listening or watching wanted us to talk about or would consider. So leave a comment down below. Let us know what you would want to see from a Pixar origin story. Which character you'd like to get a Pixar origin story? But a fun list, Matt. What do we have to tell?
Follow the show on Twitter at Top 10 Show. Otherwise, on YouTube and Instagram, it is / the Top 10 Podcast with the number 10. So please hit us up at either of those three places. And you can follow me anywhere at Matt Nost, and check out my other shows, Settle the Score and Dropping Dimes. And that is it for me this week.
As for me, you can follow me at The Roca Says on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, The Outlaw Nation on Twitch, my YouTube channel, youtube.com/John Roca Says, and my other podcasts, The Cinephiles and The Geek Buddies. You all are awesome. Thank you so much. Go see Lightyear. I loved it. And we'll talk to you next time with another brand new episode here from the Top 10. Peace.